Hi, my name is Liz Hathway and this is my astrological look at the week ahead. So it's quite an interesting week. We have, for example, on Wednesday, Mercury in Leo conjunct the North Node. North Node I always see as being about direction, and also when planets are on the node, they have a wider reach, they have more impact. They can seed more, if you like. And Mercury is always about ideas. It's about the great thoughts. It's about the sense that when we understand something, we can run with it, we can take it further. And this is very much the North Node as well. It's like the next step, if you like, the next step on the journey. Mercury on the North Node can really point us in a certain direction, show us which way we should be going. Mercury has a few issues this week, though. On Thursday, Mercury opposes Mars, for example, and that means that Mars itself is coming up to the south node of the moon. So there are some issues here with what Mercury has to say with that message, and you get the sense with Mars, because Saturn's in Capricorn, it's exalting Mars, that some things that are being said are creating and drawing out a lot of opposition. There's a kind of a hostility in a way coming from Saturn retrograde and Mars, which is now also retrograde, heading back into the sign of Capricorn. It's going back into old allegiances. There is some tension there. If you look at it on a day-to-day level, you know, it could be if you're involved in projects with other people. Mars in Aquarius is very much about working together in a team. You could find that you are faced with someone who is very opinionated. Don't forget, these are fixed signs. You know, someone whose thoughts about how to approach something are, you know, diametrically opposed to your own. So, you know, it's very difficult to move forward. And indeed, Mars is now moving retrograde, indeed. So this is a sort of argumentativeness. And there's certainly a challenge, you know, a challenge to communication. I don't say it can't be overcome, but there's a big challenge there. And I think much more on the global, if you look at it on a global level, you know, this US has just had its nodal return. So, you know, the nodes are on this sort of Mercury-Mars opposition. So you can imagine, you know, someone who's like Donald Trump, who's a leader, his words can be particularly abrasive. They can really rub people up the wrong way, and also bring out and draw out, you know, quite a protracted sort of opposition, because that Mars is going slowly backwards now. And from Saturday, it's going out of bounds. So it's going its own way. It's going to find its own solutions. It's going to do things that are, if you like, not in the public eye, not in the light of the sun, not under the authorities, not under, you know, the rule of anyone. It's a wild card. This is quite, you know, it feels almost, you know, like some kind of secret conniving and some kind of planning that's going on behind the scenes. And Mars out of bounds can really have quite an impact, and particularly since Mercury and the US node is coming in into play. So that Mercury-Mars opposition, I think, is a tricky one because of the nodes and because we're coming into eclipse season and because Mars is going out of bounds. So that opposition is on Thursday. Although on Thursday as well, before the opposition, we have a lovely Sun-Jupiter trine. So this could be something very that creates this feeling of optimism, that creates a sort of high feel-good factor, that makes you think, yes, we're going to do this, we're going to go for this. And it could be followed, you know, quite soon after by the first encounter with obstacles, which could also be, you know, the Mercury-Mars, you know, like a lot of paperwork or a lot of things that you have to organise. Mercury is also, of course, a planet that's connected with administration and the written word and things and forms that you have to fill in, etc. You know, you could run up against an official who sort of, you know, stands there blocking the path. So there's this optimism, but it's followed by some kind of reserved response. But I mean, on the other hand, you know, if we take a big picture of it, because Jupiter's all about the benefits of understanding, the gifts that when we grasp something that we can really claim it as our own. This is lovely sort of Sun Jupiter, you know, opening doors of understanding, and it's in Cancer, so it's also very much about how we feel, how we the sensitivities It's a wonderful time to be with people that are members of your clan, in fact, the people that you feel are close. There's a warmth to it. And Jupiter's slowing down. It's going to go direct next week. So there's a sense with the gifts of what Jupiter's acquired from that inner journey through its retrograde process. They're starting to slowly, become apparent, become manifest, because the sun can make things manifest, can make things happen. Although we have to see this all, of course, against the backdrop of that Uranus in Taurus, Saturn in Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn, etc., which throughout this year, the big thing is keep it real, because optimism, sometimes Jupiter can big things up, but it doesn't always have the resources or the ability to deliver it. So it's interesting, some interesting energy there. And then on Sunday, as if to emphasize that lovely watery feel of the week, we have Sun trine Neptune. So what we're coming into this week, is a grand trine with Sun, Jupiter, Neptune. And the grand trine in water, it can create a cozy feel. It can create a sort of safe sense of being safe. And yet, there are other factors which, sort of say to me, don't be lulled into a false sense of security. Keep it real, keep your eye on the ball, do the work that you have to do, keep your eye on where you're going, and don't allow yourself to drift off too much into this wonderful feel-good factor. Because we all love a grand trine, and a grand water trine is just so laid back. It's so cozy in a way, that it can almost lull you into a sleep. But we know we're coming into eclipse season. We know Mars is heading off in its own direction. So this isn't the time, to fall asleep at the wheel. Let's put it like that. Okay, wishing you a great week. I'm glad to be back. The AA conference was amazing. I had a wonderful time, but it's good to be sat here and doing my week again. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.